You will never build the life you want on the person you currently are. Not because you're not smart enough, not because you don't work hard enough. You've got both of those covered. They are not the problem. The problem is this. You've been trying to build everything, your career, wealth, your body, your relationships, on top of an internal foundation you've never once trained. And a foundation you've never trained cannot hold the weight of the life you're trying to put on it. And you already know this. You have felt it. The money hits your bank account and within 60 seconds, you were already worrying about next quarter's revenue targets. The dinner you'd been looking forward to all week long, but when it finally arrives and you're there at the table in the restaurant, physically you are there, but mentally you are not. You're on a different planet. You're still reminiscing over close lost deals from last week or worrying about what you're going to say in a meeting coming up tomorrow. You call it stress. You call it burnout. You tell yourself you just need a holiday. It's not burnout. It is the cracks in a foundation that was never built to hold this much weight. And here's the part nobody tells you. The most successful people you can name, the ones dominating every single industry, they have this figured out. They train the one thing that you have been ignoring your entire life, your entire career. It's the reason they can hold pressure that would absolutely break most people in half. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what they train, why it works, and the 4 stages to build it yourself. Let's get into it. What comes to your mind when you think of the word state? When I talk about your internal state, what actually comes to your mind? Most people think state means how you feel, but it's far bigger than that. When people hear the word state, they think your mood, your emotions, whether you're feeling up or down today. But your internal state is made up of 5 moving parts, and most people have never trained a single one of them. If you get them working together, however, everything gets easier. But if you leave them untrained, everything stays a fight. This is the reality. So, to begin with, first, your thoughts. The running commentary in your head that never switches off. The story about why you can't do the thing. The self-talk the moment a business deal falls through. The quiet list of reasons for whatever you might not think you are ready for. Whether it's a new career, moving country, scaling a business, it doesn't matter what it is. Most of this you never choose. These thoughts just run in your mind on autopilot for days, for weeks, for months, for years, for most people, an entire life. Second is your nervous system. Your body's alarm, the fight or flight that fires when a prospect pushes back during a business or a sales call, when the room turns on you, when the stakes suddenly jump. Now, nothing dangerous is actually happening here, but your body doesn't know that. Again, let me repeat this. Nothing dangerous is happening in these moments where you're under pressure, but you are reacting as if there is a pack of hyenas chasing after you, a bunch of gorillas trying to eat you. But we don't live in the wilderness anymore. You're not in danger. You're okay. All that's happening is there are Slack notifications and invoices landing in your inbox. You're not in danger, but your body doesn't know that because you are reacting as if you are. Third, your breath. Most people spend 12 hours a day breathing like they're being chased, as I mentioned. Shallow, fast, high up in their chest area, and they've no idea they're actually doing this, that they're breathing incorrectly for most of their day. And here's why it matters more than the rest. Your breath is the one part of your nervous system you can control directly. It is the bridge between your body and your mind, and almost nobody ever uses it. We are never in tune with our breath. If there's anything I want you to take away from this video, it's to try to always have at least 10% of your attention, 10% of your awareness, 10% of your focus on your breath. 4, your attention. Simply where your mind actually is at any given moment. Is it stuck in the past? Is it replaying the call that went wrong or what might go wrong in the future? Is it running worst case scenarios that haven't even happened yet? Or is your attention here, right now, on this video, listening to me? But listening to me in a way where it's not just going in one ear and out the other. You're actually truly here listening with me, almost as if we were having a chat over coffee. And fifth and final, your body, okay? The way you sit, the way you stand, the tension you carry without ever noticing it. Tight shoulders, a clenched jaw, a shallow posture that quietly tells your brain something is wrong. And it runs both ways. Your body shapes your state as much as your state shapes your body. This will all make a bit more sense as I get into the presentation, so bear with me, okay? I don't want to lose you here. These are not 5 separate things, they are one system. These all make up your state. So your shallow breathing feeds your racing thoughts, which fire your nervous system, which tightens your body, which drags your attention out of the room, out of the present moment. When one is off, they are all off. But what works in your favor is this. If you train one and the others move with it, that is opening Pandora's box, right? That is the path you want. And that's what makes this trainable. Now, here's where you've got it completely backwards for most of your life. We have all got this completely backwards. Someone carrying extra weight knows the weight is something they have, right? You can feel it. It's physically on you. It's something they can change. It's not something they are. Also, someone with no money knows that being broke is just a situation they are in, not who they are at their core. Why? Because if you're overweight, you can lose the weight. If you are broke, you can make money. So the fact that you can change these things mean they are not the essence of who you are. They'd never build their whole identity on it. And they're right not to do it. Why would you identify as a broke person when you can make money? Why would you identify as a fat person when you can lose weight? It doesn't make sense. But watch what you do with your state. This is important. You feel stress and you say, I'm a stressed person. You feel anxious and you say, I'm an anxious person. You feel flat and you say, that's just me. I'm just a low energy person. You took a feeling that was passing through you and you turned it into the essence of who you are. You see yourself as a stressed person, but that's not the case. There is the feeling of stress passing through you. So you took the weather and called it the climate, right? This is a very good analogy. It's the one I always give. Stress is like weather, okay? The sky is out here, lovely sunny day in London again. You are the sky. Stress, anxiety, low energy, they are just like a plane passing through the sky. The sky never becomes the plane. It comes and goes, okay? But the sky stays. And what comes and goes cannot be you. You are the sky. All the shit which passes through you, the feelings, emotions, the thoughts, the limiting beliefs, the imposter syndrome, the rumination, all of that is the plane. It comes and goes, and what comes and goes is not you. So there's a feeling of stress moving through you right now. And anything moving through you, you can learn to change. And the moment you stop being it, you can start to actually change it. So as long as it's your identity, you will defend it. This is why people get so offensive and so just stuck in their ways when someone suggests they could be a different way, they could be a different type of person. You know, you'll plan your whole life around it. You'll plan your whole life around just being a stressed person, a nervous person, an anxious person. You just say, it's who I am, it's how I am. But the second you see it as weather passing through you, it becomes something you can train, you can regulate, you can shift. So it's the same as your body, it's the same as your bank balance. Your state is something you have, not something you are. Now, why does any of this even matter, right? It matters because the people running away with all the success in whatever industry you work in, they have this figured out. They are not more talented than you. They're not working more hours than you. They have their state dialed in, okay? They've trained the one thing that you've been ignoring your whole career, your whole life. And it's why they can hold pressure that breaks most people in half. Now look, it's important I also say, Obviously, you want your skill set to be as, top level as possible. Obviously, you want to work, a decent amount of hours. But I was listening to the Almanac of Naval Ravikant this morning. Really, really good audiobook. And in it, they took I think it was a tweet he said. And he's like, look, if you work 80 hours a week busting your balls, but you are a waiter in a restaurant, you're never going to build wealth. You're never going to build wealth. But there's people out there with equity in a business and they're making money as they sleep doing sweet fuck all. Okay? It's not about how hard you work, the hours you work. Obviously, put in effort. I'll never say don't, but that's not the entire game. The 99% treat their state as personality. This is just who I am. This is how I'm wired. I've always been this way. So you never touch it. You leave the single most important variable in your performance completely untrained. And then you wonder why you keep hitting the same ceiling month after month. But the 1% of people, they treat it as weather, something they can actually train, something you have control over. And the best people in the world do this, okay? They know their state is not fixed. It's something they can regulate, sharpen, and operate on command. If you look at Ray Dalio, right? I always give Ray Dalio as the best example in the finance world. He runs the biggest hedge fund on the planet. He manages some of the largest sums of money there is. He meditates twice a day and has done so for over 40 years and calls transcendental meditation the single biggest reason for his success. And David Lynch, he built his entire career in Hollywood on a daily meditation practice, and he speaks more about it than any other discipline. Okay, it's a long list. Scorsese, Hugh Jackman, Kobe Bryant, all of the highest performers have trained their state, and it's not a coincidence. And this is important. They're not soft people. These aren't people running away from pressure. These are or were the most ambitious operators alive. Okay? It's not soft. Mindfulness, the woo-woo stuff, the spiritual stuff, if that's what you want to call this, it's not soft. They train it because it makes them dangerous, precise, in control. And it's the part most people get wrong. The 99% of people think that state work is for people who are falling apart. Something you reach for when you're broken. I'm going to go to Bali and find myself. I'm going to go to Ibiza for the summer, into the northern part of the island, and I'm just going to find myself for the summer. It's not the case. Don't get me wrong. I love those places. Amazing. Will always love them. But, let's not get this in the wrong context. Okay? It's the opposite. Your state is your edge, and it's why you stay sharp when everyone folds if you actually get this in check. So how do you actually build it? Well, I've spent years actually studying this from both sides. The sales and the performance side in a high pressure career, entrepreneurship, business, for myself, but also coaching well over 100 high performers in various domains and high performance careers. But also yoga, breathwork, meditation. I am a qualified yoga teacher, so I've actually studied an awful lot of this stuff. I'm not just talking from theory. So I've been at both desks, the boardroom and on the yoga mat. And what I've built from that is a system in 4 stages, and each one stacks on the last. Stage 1 is awareness. And this is the stage almost everyone skips. It's why nothing else holds. You cannot change what you cannot see. You cannot change what you cannot see. This is the work of catching the patterns running underneath your day. Thoughts, your breath, your body, the drift in your attention. And without this layer of awareness, every other layer is useless. Awareness is everything. Beneath awareness, we have regulation. This is stage 2. Once you can see it, you can learn to shift it in real time. So before an important call, as you're about to walk into a meeting, after you might lose a deal, what to do mid-meeting when the pressure is the highest, what to do the moment the room turns against you and doesn't agree with what you are saying, the actual protocols, the specific, repeatable things you run to get back to baseline when it counts. This is regulation. Beneath regulation, we have stillness. And stick with me here. I know who's this guy on YouTube talking through his internal state framework, but trust me, just stick with it. Stage 3 is stillness. And this is the one everybody misunderstands. Most people think that state work is just about being calm, but it's not. It's about being sharp inside pressure and not running away from it. The 1% don't avoid pressure, they stay clear in the middle of pressure. And that's the muscle we are building here. And fourth is execution. So awareness, regulation, stillness, execution. This is stage 4. This is where it stops being something you think about and becomes how you actually operate in your career, in your life. A new baseline, a new default, the trained state showing up on its own without you having to reach for it, without you having to force it, without you having to fake anything. But if you skip one stage, the whole thing falls over under pressure when it matters most. And this is why the inner work never holds for most people. They implement a few morning routines, they read a few books, they do their sauna or their cold plunge, they do their visualizations, they, do their affirmations in the mirror, all wonderful things, but these are only tiny, tiny micro aspects of this framework. You need to have it all dialed in. Now, for a second, imagine the version of you that's done this work, properly done it, that you can honestly say to yourself. And you walk into every high-stakes moment with clarity. Not less ambitious, you're not less driven, you are sharper, you're clearer, your critical thinking is better, your long-term decision-making is better, which as a byproduct of these, obviously your performance is going to improve and you're going to make more money. And when you make more money, you're calmer because there's less money problems. And when there's less money problems, you can show up in a much more grounded and present manner with your loved ones after work. Does money solve everything? No, but it certainly solves money problems. So you see where I'm going with this. A dialed-in internal state has a tremendous compound effect on the rest of your life. The bonus or the commission check hits your bank account and you actually feel it, instead of already worrying about what's going to happen next quarter or for the next season of targets. The deal closes and you actually let yourself have it. You sit in it, you give yourself a pat on the back, and you move on. This next bit is really important. You actually leave work at work when you have this system dialed in, when you have this framework dialed in. You sit down to dinner and your head is actually in the room with the people in front of you. You're there physically, but you are also there mentally, emotionally, energetically. You're actually truly listening to people and holding space for them because your mind isn't constantly ruminating over close lost deals or worrying about next quarter's revenue targets. You're genuinely in the room. You stop being afraid of the next level because you know you won't break under that pressure. The promotion doesn't crush you. In fact, it amplifies you. It makes you come alive. You're not running away from pressure anymore. You've become the person who gets sharper in it. And it's the same calls, the same meetings, the same deals, the same external situations, but it's a different you. And this is not fantasy. This is what a trained internal state actually delivers. It is the foundation everything else actually stands on, right? Now, I've put together a full breakdown of exactly how this works. Watch that. It's going to be here or here. If you enjoyed this video, you're going to love this one.